Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. We were getting into that 70s and 80s music there, Miss Gabby. I know that was probably a little before your time, but I was enjoying a trip down memory lane there for a little bit. That was fun. That was
I
fun.
can still enjoy it. This is the
There you go.
classic.
It's music for all ages. That's for
That's right.
sure. So again,
That's
we
right.
thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules tonight to be with us, or this evening, whatever part of the country that you're joining us from. And for those who don't know, my name is Phil Robertson. I'm a regional agency director with Symmetry Financial Group, direct to Sarah Pappas, and a part of the Symmetry organization. I am joined tonight by one of my favorite humans on the planet, Miss Gabby Roethlisberger. Gabby, if you want to take just a moment to introduce yourself and say hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm so pumped. These are my favorite time of the week. I am Gabby Roethlisberger. I am with my husband, Fred Roethlisberger. We're agency owners direct to Beth Maddox in the Pappas organization. I'm from Houston, Texas. We're actually here in Franklin currently, but I'm a Texan to the bone for those who know me. And we're pumped to be here tonight.
Real quick, everybody, if you could give us a thumbs up or just replying that we're getting some people asking us if our mics are on or off. So if you can hear us, just put in something in the chat saying that you can hear us, and make sure we're not having some technical difficulties. All right, good deal. We got some answers. So it looks like everything is good. So once again, just by way of introduction and saying thank you, we just want to thank you for taking the time. What we're here for tonight is to introduce you to a few things about the company in which we work for and are associated with. And that company is Symmetry Financial Group. And for those who don't know, I'll go ahead and get it out of the way right off the bat. We're in the life insurance business. So if you weren't aware of that, we want to go ahead and make that clear to you right off the bat. And what we're going to do tonight, we're not here to try to strong arm or pressure anyone into anything. We just simply want to educate you and make you aware of the opportunity that our amazing company has to offer, and educate you upon that process. And then what happens from there is you have the opportunity to make a decision as to whether this is something you can see yourself being involved in or not. And if you do, then we can certainly provide you with the next steps to do so. So we're going to tell you a little bit about who Symmetry is, a little bit about what Symmetry does, share a little bit of our story, talk to you about how you get paid and that kind of stuff. So just sit back and enjoy the ride for the next few minutes. And then at the end of this, we'll kind of have everybody come together and for a time of introduction and things of that nature. And then you can get back with the person who invited you onto this webinar tonight to talk about what the next steps are for yourself. So Gabby, if you're ready, we'll get started.
Let's do it.
All right. So again, we're going to be talking a little bit about who Symmetry is and what Symmetry does. So the question comes up first, why Symmetry? So the reality of Symmetry is you have the ability to work for yourself, but not by yourself. We have an amazing training program for those who are either brand new to the industry or for those who may have already gotten some experience to help you get familiar with our model. We are required to be licensed here to do what we do. We're regulated by the state insurance commissioner's offices. So we have programs to help you get that license. So don't worry if you're brand new to this industry. We have models and so forth that can walk you through that process. It's a turnkey business model. There's no major investment that's involved. The only investment there is to get an insurance license. And an average cost of an insurance license across the country, it ranges between $300 and $400 typically is what you're looking at as far as that cost. It's a culture of strong core values and leadership development. We always kid around here. We say that Symmetry is a leadership development company that helps to take you to the next person that you need to be, but we just happen to sell insurance. And that's just an amazing model. We have the ability to scale your income with no caps or potentials on your earnings. You know, there's no such thing as just trading time for money. You have a time and money freedom here for you to be able to put into it and get more out of it as you see fit. We have an omni-channel support system, both from your home office and the upline. It's really a recession-resistant industry, meaning that what we have to offer in the life insurance space, people need our products regardless of whether the economy is good or whether the economy is bad. So, of course, we all feel the effects of those things, but at the reality of it all, people still need what we have to offer regardless of what the economic conditions are sitting in the country. And at the end of the day, it's meaningful and impactful work. You know, nothing wrong with these things, but we're not selling cosmetics. We're not selling soaps. This is a process which you really get to impact the people's lives. And where that becomes more realistic than any other time is when you get a phone call after you've served a client from them saying, God forbid, my husband or my wife was killed in a car accident last night, or they passed away of a struggling disease. And you get to walk out to that home and take a check for $100, $200, $300, $500,000. It matters in the lives of the people who we get the privilege to be able to service. So that's basically, in essence, why Symmetry matters at the end of the day.
100%.
Also, it's always good when we say good things about ourselves, but it's always better when other people say good things about us. And so you're not dealing with some little rinky-dink company here. We've been ranked for the last 6 years running as the top 5,000 companies in the Inc. 5000. And in addition to that, we've been voted top company culture in Entrepreneur Magazine for 2 years consecutively running. So again, it's always good to see these accolades recognized in national publications about who we are and what it is that we have to offer at Symmetry. All right, so a little bit about who we are and how we got started. Symmetry was founded in October of 2009. Now I want you to think about something. We're in a really niche part of the life insurance business called mortgage protection, where we help people to make sure if something happens to them, their home is paid off, or they can make payments on their home without their family being destitute and broken. But if you remember what happened and what was going on in the country back in 2008, 2009, 2010, some of the worst economic conditions the country's seen since the Great Depression. And it really all started as a result of a housing bubble crisis that occurred. So our founders, Brian Pope, Casey Watkins, and Brandon Ellison, in their infinite wisdom, decided to start a mortgage protection insurance company in the midst of some of the most economically challenged times that existed in the housing industry. They were either crazy or they had a real crystal ball. And so we are very thankful that crystal ball did do exactly what it was supposed to do. And now we get to share the wealth of opportunity that exists in a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and we get to make an impact in the lives of the people who are involved. Why? Who is Symmetry Financial Group? We are a subsidiary of Equality Insurance Holdings Group. And we basically, at the end of the day, we provide choice and simplicity to families who are seeking life insurance and financial solutions by empowering a network of agents with a revolutionary digital platform to meet the needs of the clients that we have in place. And from that, basically, we'll talk a little bit about Symmetry's core values, because here's the reality of how this works, guys. This is an industry that isn't always touted for having the most ethics and morals. One of the reasons that I planted my flag at Symmetry is I can lay my head on my pillow at night knowing that I've done the right thing, both by the client that I serve and by the agents who choose to be a part of our organization. We start off with little things that are said, but it's not just how they're said, it's how they're interacted. One of the primary core values of Symmetry Financial Group is that relationships matter and people come first. And that is evident very quickly. We're a constant, relentless pursuit of personal growth, honest, open, and productive communication. We do the right thing even when no one's looking. We work as a true team to strive for positive influence upon the lives of those who we have the opportunity to impact. We act like owners because at the end of the day, we own our businesses here. We are being of service and doing good in the world through charitable outreach organizations. And most of all, we have a lot of fun as we get stuff done. So those are the core values. So let's talk a little bit about what Symmetry does, Gabby, and how it is that we impact the marketplace.
What do we do? How do we do it? Like Phil, he let the cat out of the bag. We are in the insurance, the financial services industry, really. And kind of our bread and butter, like Phil said, is mortgage protection. But as you can see, these are all things that Symmetry, has a play in. So, we help them with mortgage protection, regular life insurance, accidental death, disability, the health side of things, and then the wealth side of things. That's something that our team specifically is getting into that I'm super pumped about, helping people protect their retirement. So we do a ton of different things, but our bread and butter, what you are going to mainly be doing, is mortgage protection and then the retirement piece. And how do we do that? We actually partner with several dozen insurance carriers. And if you look on this, you're going to probably recognize some very old companies. The insurance industry is $1 trillion industry. It's one of the oldest industries out there, maybe the oldest. And we're here to stay. We're here to stay. Phil said it. We are in a recession-proof business. And how we do that is by partnering with some amazing companies. So when you come aboard, you are a broker. You are contracted with these different carriers. And one thing that's important to me about this, that not every insurance agent out there gets to have, is the ability to truly do what's best for their client. When you represent one company, you have to basically put your clients into a box. If they don't fit into the box, you can't help them. That's never the case here. There's never a time where I can't help my clients find some sort of coverage. And that's because we're a broker, and Symmetry has these partnerships. So one thing, I was a baby. I was brand new in the insurance industry, had no idea really how big this is and what the opportunity that there is in this industry. So one question that probably, if you're smart, you're asking, is there a need for this? What's the deal with mortgage protection? Is there a need? Well, there's 119 million households in the United States, and 7 out of the 10 of those do require 2 incomes. So what our bread and butter is making sure that people don't lose their home if the primary breadwinner were to die. As you can see, 53% of foreclosures are caused by a death or disability. Average funeral costs $9,000. We're helping people take care of their final expenses. And among Americans age 65 plus, 21% of married couples and 45% of singles rely on Social Security for 90% or more of their income. That's a little bit sad to me. I really hate that statistic. And that's one thing we see a lot in the clients that we sit with. But that's another reason why I'm here, why I wanted to be with an opportunity like this, to be a business owner, to make the income that you're able to make here, because I don't want to have Social Security be the only source of income that I have, right? That's a little bit nerve-wracking if you know kind of what's going on with Social Security. So is there a need for our product? You tell me. I would say definitely, I would say so. How are we doing? So this is a graph that I love looking at because honestly, if I'm looking at partnering with a company, I want the graph to look like this, right? I mean, we're truly going to the top. And kind of, I see that kind of pie chart on the side there. And, again, like I said, this is a gigantic industry. And we've really just touched the surface. If you can see that little piece, the 215 million is the projected for 2021 production. This is slightly old. We're already in 2022. But we're just 9% of a $2.35 billion industry, billion with a B. And then total annuity capacity, which is what I was talking about earlier in retirement, the retirement side of things. There's $5.7 billion out there that need to be protected. So I'd say we're doing good. What about you, Phil?
I would say so. And here's one of the amazing things. If we look at that stat from 2020 until 2021, we all know what happened in the world in March of 2020. This pandemic, this COVID event hit, and overnight, literally within a matter of 3 days, all of these carriers that we represent, nationally known, recognized billion-dollar companies, had to overnight pivot and figure out ways for us to be able to do all of this digitally. And as you can see, in the midst of a pandemic, our revenue at Symmetry Financial Group, and we had to retrain everybody on how we do things, went from 162 million to over 162 million to over 205 million in that year of growth. And that's unheard of. Most people in this industry are at the most flatlining, many times even declining. And in the midst of all of that, with all the transition, all the pivoting, all the stuff that had to occur, we still grew by that huge amount. But here's the truth of the matter, guys. We're not even beginning to scratch the surface of the market that's available out there. And that's where you come in. We have the ability to increase the amount of clients that we can reach. The problem is we need more agents to help reach them. And that's why we are reaching out to the people who are on this call tonight?
So along those lines, how do we find our clients? Well, it's through omni-channel marketing. Omni-channel is just a fancy word for many different ways. And like Phil said, we have the system here at Symmetry. They can turn it on, they can turn it up, they can crank it way up. But we do have more families requesting information than we have agents to actually work them. So as you can see, we're currently generating over 15,000 leads every week on average. And 3,000 new leads are added to inventory each week after they've already been distributed to people who have standing lead orders. That's crazy. And one thing for me, I had one job before this. It was a sales job. And I learned really quickly, sales is hard. And it's even harder when you have to go out and find your clients. When you're out prospecting, you're spending 90% of your time prospecting and 10% of your time selling. That's most sales jobs. I'm sure there's some salespeople on here that can relate. It's tough. But that was one thing that I wanted out of Symmetry, that I wanted out of my next, career. And, Symmetry has that. I don't have to go and spend all my time and find clients, leads that produce results. So leads are subsidized by Symmetry, but leads are expensive. If you don't know, cost of one lead is very, very expensive. So they subsidize the cost of those leads, and they invest over $21 million in 2020 into just lead generation. And that's just one portion of the departments at Symmetry. And the average close ratio is 37%. I say this all the time, and that's average across, thousands of agents. But this thing is like a machine. Once you figure it out, you become an ATM. It's how hard are you going to work? How much you're going to help the families. And that close ratio is way higher is what I'm trying to say. But that's an average close ratio for our lead system. How do we support our agents? Gosh, there's a lot here. I don't want to dive into every single one, but the biggest thing is our proprietary sales system. When you come in here, I had no experience in insurance. Like I said, I had one job. I was a softball player all my life. And then I had one job. It was a sales job. And then I came into Symmetry to work for myself. I liked the fact that there was an actual system in place. There's scripts, there's mentorship, there's weekly training calls and webinars. There's marketing already done for me, right? The leads, what I was just talking about. And there's so much more. This is just.
Sure. And one of the things that's really amazing about this, if you want to step back to that one
Yep.
quick time, I had a couple of conversations with people even as recently as today before this call, and this one-on-one mentorship and weekly trainings and so forth. Many times this industry, you're just expected to be a producer and you're a number in the system, and you're only talked to when you're talked down to in many ways because you're not producing the way, but they don't go into a lot of the personal training and development and stuff. This is not, I tell people all the time, this is not it's not an easy business. It's a simple business, but it is not an easy business. And so we work very hard to protect things like mindset and culture and things of that nature, so that you truly aren't out there on an island by yourself, that you have the help and the support that you need, and you're not just expected to be a number or a cog in the wheel. You get all those. And the other thing that changed, the game-changing event that took place in this, is now everything can be done virtually because of COVID. Now we can get leads. We don't have to be geographically boxed in by only being able to drive to those clients. You can sit in your living room, in my case, in Atlanta, Georgia. And if I've got a non-resident license, I could be talking to someone in Boston, Massachusetts, Phoenix, Arizona, Seattle, Washington, whatever the case is, because everything is now done through a digital platform with e-signatures, e-applications. So it makes it very easy for you to be able to work the Symmetry system around your schedule and be able to control not only the income you have, but be able to control your time as well. And that's what's so very important.
Absolutely. And then just Quility Tech. So part of that Quility, we're a part of Quility. That's the tech side. And like I said before, this is a very, very old industry. And some people are not getting with the times. But Symmetry is that is what Quality Tech is for, is to really lead the industry in tech tools. So, some of the tech that you're going to have, HQ, powered by Quality, that's just the hub that you're going to be running your business through. Quality U, when you come on board, you go through Quality training, owner circle, virtual assistant, virtual mentor, power dialer, all of these things to help run your business efficiently is really the goal, efficiently. And we've said it before, leadership, we're a leadership development company, truly, that just happens to sell insurance. We don't just say that for no reason. It's just the truth. When you come here, expect to give your old self a pat on the back and look forward, because you are going to change just by being here, just by being a part of this culture. You just are, and it's a good thing, right? So some of the things we have Connect, it's a women's group. It's not only for women, men can come, but it's Connect Women Stronger Together. Agency Owner Academy. When I became an agency owner last year around this time, I got to go to the home office, learn from each department, just so much support. And then Thrive and QPI, again, it's just developing yourself, knowing yourself to lead yourself and then lead others. So just some tools here, development here. And then I'm going to take us home with this one. This one's really cool, and feel free to add. But I, like I said, was in sales, and most salespeople are horrible at follow-up. They're good at making the sale, right? But they're horrible at follow-up. And one thing that Quality, that the owners just magically thought up, I swear they sit and think of how can we help our agents and help the clients. And that's what they did with this. So I write business. I have a ton of clients, but I am busy also working the fresh people that have asked and requested information. So I don't have time necessarily to go and touch back with my clients. And so what Symmetry does is it's a team of highly trained, advanced market certified agents who reach out to your book of business for you, and just make sure, again, it's about ongoing client engagement to really create that long lasting relationship with you and with the company. So what they do, if they make a sale, portion goes to them and a portion goes to me for doing nothing, for helping somebody 2 years ago, and they get helped again because their needs changed. They get helped, I get helped, and Advanced Market QMS gets helped. It's very, very cool.
Amazing system. Absolutely amazing.
All right. Symmetry business model. Talk to us, Phil.
So let's talk a little bit about the business model. I want to, there's a book written by Robert Kiyosaki that it talks about the cash flow quadrant. And there's really 4 ways in the United States of America where people earn income. So here's the thing to understand. Most people exist, if you look at this screen on the left-hand side of this market equation that we're looking at here. And there's the left side and there's the right side. 95% of the people in the country exist on the left side of this quadrant, but only 5% of the wealth in America exists on the left side of this quadrant. So you've got 5% of the wealth being split among 95% of the people. Then on the right side of this quadrant, you've got 95% of the wealth being split among 5% of the people, because that's where the other 5% exist. So let's talk about this for a moment. We've been taught our whole life to go out and get a good education, to get a good job. That job oftentimes stands for just over being broke, is really what that job stands for. But that's what we've been taught to do. So we go out, we get all that stuff, and we're an employee. At the end of the day, what we're really doing is we're letting someone else tell us what we're worth, because we're trading our time for the money that they are willing to give us per hour to do the tasks that we've been hired to do. It doesn't matter if that's a dishwasher, or it doesn't matter if that's an engineer making $500 an hour. The reality is we're all trading that time for money when we're in that space. So that's how the majority of the people have that job. Occasionally, you'll get someone that drops to the bottom left of this corner and they decide, I don't want to be necessarily tied down to a boss, So I want to go out and become self-employed. These are the dentists of the world, the doctors of the world, the people who cut lawn, there's a real estate agents, life insurance salespeople. They fit into this quadrant. So here's the reality with that. Yep, you might make a little bit more money, but here's the truth of the matter is, even though you may make a little more money, you're still tied down because that job now owns you. That business now owns you. If you don't believe it, go ask a guy who, I don't know, he cuts lawns for a living. Yep, he's self-employed. He probably makes a little more money, but how much money is he making if he's not out there cutting the grass every day? So that, there's a give and take for that. But then let's talk about what happens when we get to the right side of this quadrant. You have a business owner who owns a system that is in place that regardless of whether you're there or you're not, it still generates an income for you. Now, many people can't really understand this. So I'm going to give you an example really quick of a business that is this system that we're all quite familiar with. All right. Anybody ever stop by those golden arches of that place called McDonald's? If I would stand up, you'd realize I'm a pretty big fellow. And one of my favorite things in the world is a Big Mac with some fries and a Diet Coke, because a man's got to start somewhere in the process. So here I'm gonna run a quick scenario through you real quick. It's late in the evening, you're getting off work, you're heading home, and you stop by the local McDonald's and you get yourself a Big Mac and you get yourself a large fry and a Diet Coke, and you get to the window, you pay your money, you get it, you put it in the bag, you drive off, you get out there to the red light, and you open that thing up and you realize that instead of that Big Mac, they've given you a fillet of fish. And you're like, dang it, this is just not acceptable. So you turn the car around, you go back, you're not waiting in that line to get through the drive-thru, so you go inside. Now, Gabby, I want to ask you a question. When you get inside to go and complain about you've got a fillet of fish instead of a Big Mac, who do you ask for when you get inside the restaurant?
The manager.
Now, I have a question for you. You're exactly right. But why didn't you ask for the owner? I'll tell you why. The owner's not there. The owner probably owns 5 or 6 or 7 of those McDonald's, and he's probably sitting on a beach in Tahiti somewhere counting the money as it's rolling in. But here's what's happening behind the scenes, even though he's not there. That system has been generated that produces income for that owner, even though he's not present. When you walk into a McDonald's, every time, the drive-in window is going to be on your left, not the right. The assembly station of where the burgers are is straight ahead. The shake machine is typically to your right. The fries are typically to your left beside the drive-in window. Anybody remember this? Is it familiar to you? The system is the same. It is a business system that allows the ownership of that business to leverage the system and earn an income even without them being present. That's what a business system does. People work with you and for you to generate income without you having to be on scene and on site making that happen. That's the opportunity that a system like Symmetry can provide, because we have not only an opportunity to be self-employed, we get to give you the opportunity to move from that self-employed quadrant over to that business ownership quadrant that creates a system for you that you get to earn income even if you aren't necessarily involved with the day-to-day operations. Then eventually, the final quadrant of this is the Warren Buffett money that comes into play. You get to be an investor, where literally your investments and your money begins to work for you to earn income and generate income and wealth that's generational, that gets passed on from generation to generation. So here's what we want. The reason we bring this up, we want to help you to understand that we have and provide an opportunity for you to move from that left side of the quadrant to the right side of the quadrant, so that you're not having to struggle to get 5% of the wealth in the country spread out among 95% of the people. Whether you choose to or not to is your choice. What we're telling you is this is an opportunity for you to be able to do that. So I hope that makes sense to you from that perspective. So
that was awesome.
So it all comes down to, at the end of the day, we can talk about all these things, but the question is, how do we get paid? So the way that things work here, we have both part-time and full-time positions. We have commission levels that range anywhere from 70 all the way up to 120%. We have the best-in-class bonus program. This is a commission-based program. This is not salary. You literally are in business for yourself, but you're not in business by yourself. And as you can see, new agents start at a 70% contract. Without getting into all the details of that, we have ability for you to give yourself a 5% raise every 1 to 2 months, depending upon the production and the volume and ways you can do that. And we'll walk through in the next steps when you get with the person who invited you about how that happens. But you are in control rather than you being dictated to by someone else, is the main gist of the story from there.
Yes.
So let's talk about the part-time opportunity. You got a part-time agent working 15 to 20 hours per week. They're placing 6 sales per month, not per day, not per week, but 6 sales per month at that starting 70% contract level. Our average client spends about $1,000 a year or $80 a month on their life insurance product that they get from us. And then we get advanced 75% of that first year's premium up front. So let's talk about this just for a moment. Let's use this example on the right. You're doing 6 sales a month at an average sale of $1,000 each. That's $6,000 a month in revenue. At a 70% commission level, you get $4,200 of that $6,000 is what you've earned in commission. The moment that the application and the policy is approved, the carrier or the insurance company will advance you 75% of that $4,200. You get the remaining 25% when the client makes their 10th, 11th, and 12th month payment. So you're getting about $37,000 or so in advances. And then when you add in the 10th, 11th, and 12th months, you're talking about a $50,000 first year compensation. Now, listen, I want you to understand this. Does this necessarily mean this is what everyone is going to do? No, I'm just giving you the potential of what's there. And what I'm saying to you, these are not pie in the sky numbers. These are realistic expectations. If you come into this system and you're coachable, you're committed, and you're consistent to the process, these are some expectations of what you can expect to see from that perspective. All right, that's a part-time. Full-time, let's kick this thing up a notch. 30 to 35 hours per week, 15 to 20 placed sales per month. And now you've moved up the level, and now you're at an 85% contract level. That same $1,000 annual premium per case that you put in place. So you can look at the math. $15,000 per month in sales at an 85% commission is around $12,700 in advances. You go back and add in the 10th, 11th, and 12th months for that remaining 25%. And I know this is a little confusing because this is not typically, it's not $15 an hour. So we understand that this is a little bit more complicated, but you have the potential first year to earn somewhere in the range of $150,000 a year. Again, if you're committed, coachable, and consistent to the process. Here's what I'll tell you. This, if you look at my first year at Symmetry, is almost a carbon copy of exactly what took place in my own life within that first year. Again, please understand me. We're not trying to mislead anyone. We're simply not trying to say this is what everyone does. What we're saying is this is the opportunity that we put in front of you if you choose to participate at the level in which you choose to participate. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So next.
What makes Symmetry different? So this is remember that quadrant? So, you come on, that's what happened to me. I was in my sales job. I was working for somebody else. I said, I don't really like this. It seems like I can only make at most 60,000 a year. What if I want to make 100,000 a year? What if I want to make 250,000 a year? Right. So I signed on Symmetry August 2017. And that was me saying, all right, I'm self-employed. I work for myself. Right. Now, there should be a little bridge from that self-employed quadrant to the business owner quadrant, because that's what Symmetry is. It's a bridge to build a business. So they provide agents with everything they need to build their own business. Like I said, I went over to Agency Owner Academy. I got to learn the ins and out of true contractual ownership. So that means it can be passed on. It can be sold, right? It's willable, sellable, and transferable. You have the ability to earn both time and money, right? Like we're going to be the McDonald's owner, right? We have a system-driven income. We're in that B quadrant now, playing with the big dogs, with the 95% wealth, right? And like I said, you can pass on the business. This was something that was really, really, really important to me. And this next graph, you'll see our growth in agency owners. It's kind of mind-boggling, and it just shows the opportunity is just getting better and better and better. Like that's me in that 243 from last year, me and several others on this team that earned ownership.
And mine happened in 2018. I want you to look at that graph just for a moment. If you look at 2010, when we really kind of got started in that program, it took us from 2010 until 2018 to get 130 agency owners. But because the opportunity keeps getting better and better, what took us 9 years to get to 130, we doubled that in the next 3 years. And I'm telling you, they're being added monthly into the organization. So again, this is unheard of in this industry. This is not something most of the time in this industry. If you leave, quit, or die, your business rolls up to your upline or back to the company. Here, myself, Gabby, others that have built a business here, if God forbid something happens to me tonight and I don't make it through the end of this call, my wife and my family inherit the income that I have worked to produce here. That is unheard of in this industry. And again, goes back to the culture that the founders of this company have helped to create to make our life better and better. That's what separates Symmetry.
And, guys, it's just going to keep going up, because what people are looking for right now? It's what's it called? The great resignation.
Resignation. Yeah.
Right. Like that's happening right now. People are starting to think differently about what they want for their lives, what work looks like to them. And a lot of people are looking for virtual options. They want to be able to stay home with the kids. They want to be able to go to the doctor if they need to go to the doctor, not have to ask permission, clock in, clock out. So this is what I'm excited about, is this is going to grow and grow and grow. And Phil and I's job now is to help others get what we have and get there and have their ownership. And so it's exciting. So what does agency ownership look like? So as an agency builder, you make commissions every time you help an agent make a sale. So the difference between my contract level, so for example, say I'm at 95, the difference between my contract level and my agent's contract level is called spread. It's like butter. Mm-hmm. And it's an insurance type deal. This is how the industry works. So what you're looking at here on the side is the difference between these agents on the side to the right and the agency owners. So for example, if we just take an average spread of these to the right, let's say 15%. So I'm still out in the field and I'm writing 15,000 in personal production at a 95% contract level. And then my agency, these folks on the side here, produce together 35,000 in agency production with an average spread of 15% and a 75% carrier advance. Stay with me now. I know it got scary with these numbers. I personally produce at the top here, 15,000. So I myself for the month made 10,687 with that 95% commission, that 75% carrier advance. That's me on my own business. But then I have my agency that did 35,000 with the 15% average spread. We're just averaging it out here with the 75% carrier advance. That's 3,900 of agency advance commission. So total that up times 12, that's $175,000. But don't forget that carrier advance, there's still that last 25% that comes to me after months 10, 11, and 12 of all of this business staying on the books. So total first year commission as an agency owner with this type of agency and this spread is $234,000. So I don't know about some people on this call, but I've never made that kind of money. And that was kind of pie in the sky for me. And I really had to work on my money blueprint, my mindset of the way that I think about money, the way I look at money, and really my worthiness of being able to earn that type of money. And it is possible here. And just like Phil said, I mean, these are not pie in the sky numbers. These are reality. And I believe, Phil, this was your reality, your first year of agency owner.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, it's almost like they wrote the script for my own life as far as how this worked. And again, guys, just a real quick backstory. I was in this industry for almost a decade prior to coming over to Symmetry. And, I was disillusioned, broken, it just completely done with this. And so when I was given this opportunity, I was skeptical and I was like, yeah, right. Everybody promises this, but I'm just telling you, the Symmetry system in our life is absolutely transformed, not only financially, but I'm not the same person that I was 4.5 years ago. When I don't see the world in the same way. Now, instead of, being excited, don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I love helping clients. That is a huge part of who we are. It's at our core. But I'll tell you what really excited me and why I came here was to be able to see this dream and this hope and this reality of this opportunity to be able to come to life in the lives of others who are kind of the same way I was, kind of beaten down and downtrodden as a result of not being able to get a leg up in the system that no longer works for so many people. So again, please don't misunderstand. Is this indicative of every single person? No, what I'm saying is this is the opportunity that you have an opportunity to be a part of if you choose to participate. And these numbers are very realistic. And again, it has absolutely changed and transformed our family's life as a result of what this Symmetry system has been able to do for us.
So, what happens, Phil? You're an agency owner, but now, like we said, we're a leadership development company. So you've created some leadership in your business.
Sure. So what happens at that point is you eventually get to a point where I've been able to enjoy a piece of this over the course of the last few months. You eventually get to a point where you bring yourself out of the field. You're no longer daily helping clients and selling policies, but instead now you are at a point where you're helping to develop others to be able to do that same thing. And your existence then works off of that spread. So when you get to this level, executive vice president, where you're doing $500,000 in premium in your agency, now you're no longer doing any personal production, but you've got that average of 15% spread. Do the math. 75% advance on a $500,000 per month. It's almost hard to even say these numbers. $500,000 per month. You're talking $57,000 per month in income. By the time you add in that back end 10, 11, and 12, you're looking at close to $900,000. Now, again, I know for someone making 20, 30, 40 hours an hour or less, these seem like pie in the sky numbers. Again, the reason we want to expand your thinking to help you understand what's possible here. And we've got many people that this has become their reality and their life story as a result of the opportunity that Symmetry has to provoke for them. Next is we talk about, listen, the reality of this. What happens in competition in most people's world? You go out as a real estate agent, for instance. You become a broker. You hire a real estate agent. You're making a commission or a spread or an override on every time that agent sells a home. But what happens when that agent gets to the point where they want to be their own broker as a real estate agent? Now what you've done is you've worked your whole life to train your competition. Because I'm Phil's Remax. When Gabby decides that she wants to become a broker, she goes out and opens up Gabby's Century 21. And now all of a sudden I've spent my whole life training and developing her. And now all of a sudden she's opened an office 5 miles down the street as my competition. So we talked about that spread. So you get to the top contract in the company and you help someone else get to that top contract. We're both at 120. Gabby, what's the spread between 120 and 120?
Zero.
So you think, well, my God, why would I want to help someone to get there? Well, the founders of a company, in their infinite wisdom, decided, you know what? We want leaders to develop leaders. So what's happened when we get to that point to where a leader has brought a leader up and they've matched their level. Now we're going to give them a piece of the entire revenue of the company on a monthly basis. So let's look at that. That average is right now is averaging around $19,000 per month. But Gabby, we both see the leaderboards. We know what's happening to some of the, now this is not indicative of everyone involved, but I think there's 25 or 30 of those guys right now, guys and gals that are in that system. We've seen many on a monthly basis getting well over $100,000 a month in bonuses that are being paid out because they've helped to develop other people to get to the place where they are. And again, what we're telling you is the system takes all of that into effect to where you're never capped with the ability to you to grow and you to grow those who you bring into the organization. It's an absolutely amazing system.
You keep talking about, the opportunity, right? Symmetry is an opportunity. And one thing that was important to me is that it's the same for everybody.
Sure.
It's not pink for girls, blue for boys. It's not if you've coming in a high income earner, or if you're coming in making 30,000 a year. The opportunity is there for every single person. And that's what I feel is the beauty of this system. Because anybody, we have so many different stories out there of different backgrounds. It's kind of insane. For every excuse that you may have for staying where you are, or for every excuse that you feel is holding you back, there's somebody in Symmetry that has done it.
Exactly.
So just remember that. And I know that these seem like, video game numbers, but the opportunity is the same for everyone. And I think that's what's most important.
Talk about those agent perks.
Go ahead.
I said, yeah, go ahead and cover those.
So when you come aboard, Symmetry did, we sell life insurance. So why are agents not having some life insurance? So the Symmetry covers the cost of your first year of life insurance for all Symmetry agents. So typically a 30-year term, $400,000 in coverage. That's something that's been around for the past few years. It's pretty awesome. And it's, of course, partnered with one of our carriers. Mm-hmm. And then my health policy. So this one, I know for me, and for a lot of people out there, benefits are important. That's actually why people end up staying in, jobs that they hate with terrible, cultures, because of the benefits. But the thing is, guys, it's not that bad paying for your own health insurance. And what Symmetry did is they partnered with a health broker that kind of looks at all of the different options out there and tailors it to what your needs are. And it is typically half the cost. I will tell you, my husband, he worked for Baker Hughes in the oil and gas industry. And we were, of course, covered by him. But when he came aboard and is in the business now with us, we transitioned and it was actually less than what he was paying. You may not realize it because it's just coming out of your paycheck.
Exactly.
And you don't even know how much is actually coming out, but he looked at it and it actually is less than what we're paying now. So it's just not that bad, y'all. Don't be sad in your life or, just stay in a job that you hate for the benefits, and just know that there is an option for you with Symmetry. And that's something that wasn't around a while back, and now it is. Trips and incentives. So one thing about these insurance carriers, I told you it's $1 trillion industry. And these insurance companies, if you're going to take a loan out from somebody, I'm choosing insurance company 100% of the time. And so what they have is they have these gigantic marketing budgets. And every year there's somebody in the offices at these companies that their job is to come up with the coolest places to stay, coolest things to do, and just figure out this awesome travel for each incentive for each company. So these are some of the places. There's so many more, but these are some of the places that Symmetry has taken people and insurance carriers have taken people. There's Glenn Groff, one of my favorite people. Him and his wife Anne are going to London here soon, that they got with Mutual of Omaha, which is really awesome.
Yep.
So, all right.
So the question is, what are we looking for? We're looking for people who have a few attributes, those who are willing to listen, actively listen and be involved, those who are willing that have a work ethic. We tell people all the time, there's only really two things you can control. You can control your activity, and you can control your attitude. And if you're willing to do both of those, and then again, we talked earlier about being willing to be coachable, committed, and consistent to the process of the Symmetry system, it absolutely can begin to change and transform your life. We associate, attend events, plug into everything, counsel often with your upline, and disassociate yourself from the negative events and those negative influences that come into your life. Because again, this will transform not only what you do, but it'll transform who you are. And then be willing to change. Again, realizing that the person who you are got you to the place you are, but it can't necessarily be the person who takes you to the place where you need to be. And so you got to be willing to do some self-examination, look in the mirror, and figure out what areas of your life you can help to change. Again, this is it's not an easy business. It's a simple business, but it's not easy. And a lot of that happens between the mindset that occurs in the 6 inches between your ears from that perspective. So from that being said, next slide basically says, the question begs itself, what's the next step? What do you do next? And what I would say to you is, get with the person who invited you to be a part of this presentation tonight and explore what you thought about this opportunity, about this presentation, and let them walk you through what the next steps are. Here's what I say to people all the time as I'm talking about this, as we're growing the organization, as we're speaking, this opportunity into the lives of others. I don't know. Gabby doesn't know. No one knows whether or not this is a right fit for you or not. What I will say to you is, it's worth an opportunity for you to at least explore, because you just never know what tomorrow may hold. I'm a firm believer that opportunity really only presents itself a few short, limited number of times in our life. We can choose to either broaden our horizon and take an opportunity and look it in the eye and say, listen, I'm going to give this a shot. Or I'm 50 years old. We can keep looking back and trying to figure out. I know that's shocking to you, Gabby, that I look so good at 50, but I saw that look on your eye. But the truth of the matter is, you can get to a point where I'm at in life, and you can realize that, hey, you know what? There's only so many more opportunities that are going to be able to there. And I don't want to look back and regret saying I wished I had, or what could have been, because I was afraid. There's really two reasons that people don't look into opportunity like this. Number one, it's fear. We're scared to make a change because we're so ingrained in doing things the way we've always done things. Number two is money. Symmetry has that figured out. For the cost of an insurance license, $300 to $400, you have the opportunity to be able to open up an opportunity that can absolutely begin to change and to transform your life.